Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Interview the Artist. Today, featuring one of my buddies, one of my best pals. Here we have William Montalvo. He is one of the most awesome artists that I know, comic book artist and illustrator. So today we're gonna talk to him a little bit more, find out what else he knows, what else he do. How you doing today, William?
I'm doing really good. Really happy to be here. It's kind of crazy when you think back, like all the time we've known each other, and now like we're doing this. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? Like we started back in fifth grade, if I'm not mistaken, doing some comic books on our own, and look at us now. We have some comics. We made something. Good times. All right, William. So let's go ahead and start with introductions. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your life. Where did you go to school? What classes did you study? What helped you prepare to become the artist that you are today?
All right. Well, I grew up in Ponce, Puerto Rico, same as Camilo, actually. Basically, we didn't have a lot, at least I didn't have a lot of art training, elementary school or high school. We had one art class that I remember, and it was very basic. Yeah, basically, we would draw like on the sides of notebooks when you're supposed to be taking notes and like drawing full comic books in the middle of class, like completely ignoring whatever they were teaching. Stuff. I remember having like how to draw comics the Marvel way, learned a little bit about how to do perspective and stuff like that. And I actually got a lot better at perspective than characters, which was a problem because characters are kind of important. After my high school, I did 1 year of biology at the University of Puerto Rico at Mayagüez, and I didn't like it. I was really depressed. I also didn't know what else I was going to do because I was like, art is such a difficult career in my mind, especially back then. We didn't have any information. I said, okay, if I get into the best art school in the US, then I will become an artist because that'll at least I'll know that I'm good. So I applied to the best art school at the time that I knew, which was the Rhode Island School of Design. I got into the waiting list. I really wanted to get in, so I started calling them like every day, like a nervous tick. I couldn't even control that. I just like had to call them and find out. And the guy would be like, yeah, no, you're still on the waiting list, like every day. One day he said, you know what, you're in. I just spoke to the dean of admissions, and that's how I got into RISD. And my portfolio was really bad, actually. I drew my whole portfolio on Xerox paper, and it was like Xerox paper drawings with a mechanical pencil, and I took pictures of them so they would look really big, but they were just Xerox paper drawings. But I had some good form drawings, some good perspective drawings. And when I get there, immediately I realized everyone is way better than me, like much better. These guys have been training in art their whole lives. They've gone to art high schools where you train in art in your high school all the time. I never even painted in oils. Yeah, so they put me in a special summer program to kind of catch up with everyone else, and we did drawing, and we did like 3D design work, and we did 2D design stuff like patterns and colors, stuff like that. That program was really interesting. It was the first time that I had such a rigorous attempt at teaching me. And they were doing this also because I skipped the first year of the university because I applied as a transfer student. I didn't apply as like a entry, like a first year student. So they wanted to get me to the level where all their first years had gone in a year and they were trying to do it in like 2 months. So it was like class all day and then drawing the rest of the day. I think skipping the first year was probably a mistake. You miss the foundation is the key to art. Like foundation is the most important thing that you have to learn. I didn't cover as much of it. So I was learning it as I was doing more advanced assignments for the second year. And I took a lot of different classes. I was really bad at the first year. The second year I was still pretty bad. The last year was pretty good. The last year I had a lot of training. I knew what the teachers expected for an A. Like I knew what my other student colleagues were capable of. Able to do like basically all A's the last year. And I did Coca-Cola design contest 2006, and I won the national contest. And I remember I invited you to New York.
I remember that day. Yes, I was there.
Like my friend artist Camilo. That was the height of my student career. All the teachers were like, "Oh my God, Will, whatever," and like all of them, people randomly coming up to me in the school to talk about the piece and to talk about what I was going to do. And what I decided to do was go to law school because I was so afraid of being an artist. I said, you know what? I can get into law school from this school because it's a really good school. Like it's a really good art school and it'll look different. Like my application to law school is going to look like, oh, that's the only artist that applied this year. And it worked. I got into Fordham, which was the last law school on my list of schools that I would go to. It was, I think, number 20.
Wow, yeah, a little deviation there from that world of art. And you know what I find it funny is like you were already seeing some success as an artist. Why that jump from art and seeing some success to maybe law school? Like how was that?
I think, I had the normal fear that everyone has. I think
Mhm.
everyone is always worried about, are they going to make it as an artist? Are they going to get paying jobs? Are they going to be able to afford rent, food, any kind of like a car, health insurance? Couldn't see any path to getting a job, although I had a lot of paths at that school because they were really well connected, and I could have just been like, hey, I want like an animation job or a storyboarding job, or even whatever I could get as a concept artist or something like that, and they would have had people there that would have helped me, but I was shy as fuck, and I didn't want to ask anyone for help. Even if it was a program at the school designed to help you, I was still super shy. And then the other thing that happened, I didn't know it at the time, but I had some mental health issues. And if you're really depressed or if you're really manic, it's very hard to make good decisions. And for me too, both my parents were doctors and my grandfather was a businessman and president of the School of Medicine. I had this family that was like really traditional, and I was like, I'm gonna be the first person in my family in this generation not to get like a doctorate. And then I actually thought about medical school, but I'm like, that's gonna be a lot of extra work because it's longer than law school, and you have to do even more classes to get ready. Law school was 3 years, so I thought, okay, I'll go for 3 years. What's 3 years? It's not a big deal. It was a big deal. It was a huge deal. I get to law school. Law school started out really fun for about a week and was a nightmare after that for 3 years. Like
Mhm.
it had its moments, but like that was a tough period of my life, and it was really challenging, and that was much harder in some ways than art school. And so yeah, I basically, the whole time I'm in law school, I'm freaking out as well. I'm like, I should have stayed with art. What am I doing? This is wrong. But once you're in law school for enough time, they charge you for the entire year. That's thousands and thousands of dollars leaving on the table if I leave the school. Like, so I
Mhm.
had to stay the first year, and then once I finished the first year, I was like, well, it's only 2 more years. And yeah, like I finished law school and I won a competition in law school too, which was fun.
Talk to us a
And
little bit about that.
yeah, that was, it was a moot court.
Mm.
So moot court is basically a fake court where all the students go and they argue and they pretend to be arguing an appellate case, and you're appealing to the Supreme Court, and the judges are other students. And when you get to the final, the judges are actual judges, which is pretty crazy. So it's really fun if you're creative though, because it's like a performance, right? Like you're going up there and what I would think is like, I'm going to pretend to be a lawyer. I'm going to pretend to be the best lawyer in the world. Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird, that's me. And I had this like super cool breakdown of the case that I had made with all of my art skills that had every important thing and the page in the case where it was. And it had like all my main arguments. It was basically like a HUD in a jet fighter. And it got better every single round of the competition. So when I got to the end of it, I had like one page. That was all I needed. And I won the argument.
Amazing, man. Wow. I love how you were able, like even then, even doing law school, you were still incorporating some of your artwork was trying to come out there. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I ended up as an editor of the Environmental Law Review, and I made a painting for them for the cover of the website, and we also updated the website. I had done some web design. I drew as much as I could. I did designs. I did whatever, I could do that was drawing. I would do it because I missed it. Yeah, eventually when I got out, it took me some time, but I passed the bar. And then right after I passed the bar is when I was actually diagnosed with a mental health condition. And
Oh.
that's what I learned. I didn't know. So the whole time I've been going like this, like really crazy emotional stuff. And then they like figured out that there was something there that had to be treated. And that was very difficult because it's like right as I'm starting my career in law.
Wow.
What's that?
No, no, I just said, wow, like getting news like that to the point that, oh no, this is like an actual medical thing. We have to treat it after finishing with all those challenges that you just
Yeah,
mentioned.
yeah.
That's
It
pretty
would have been
wow.
nice to know before, so that like it didn't have to be like a freaking horror movie or like action movie the whole time. Yeah, so then I worked a few jobs, different companies and law firms. I did some internships that were really cool too in law school. I did one in Argentina and one in Korea. Those internships, those abroad trips, that's why I stayed in law school really,
Oh
because I was
yeah.
like, traveling to do law is super awesome, and I liked more the traveling than the law. The law was just a reason for me to be there.
Right.
After that, I tried working for a little bit and it really wasn't working. We tried opening like our own law firm and it didn't work. And after that, I was really depressed and I'm like, what am I going to do? And I decided I'm going to go to California and become an artist again.
Why not?
I went to California and I started taking little classes here and there, to classes at Noman, to classes at Concept Design Academy, to classes at Brainstorm. I did a lot of networking. I would go to a lot of events. I met some writers and I started getting little gigs here and there. I worked at a video game studio for a little bit, but it was just like an internship basically. It didn't pay. So
Hmm.
But it was so cool. It was so cool. I would have stayed there, but there was a lot of disorganization in the company. So I was like, even if they start paying me, this is gonna be like a difficult place to work in. And I thought maybe I'll go freelance. Yeah. So then, I started after a lot of training in different places and brushing up on my art, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about design. I learned a lot about concept art. I learned a lot about proper drawing and fundamentals, stuff that I honestly hadn't even touched in art school because I jumped the year. And that's really, I think, what has helped me be a little bit more successful in getting work, getting ahead. And it's still the part that I have to, you constantly have to work at it and
Hmm.
constantly get better at it, because that's the key, really. Like if you can do the fundamentals, the other stuff is just like styling. It's like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, no, and it's so interesting. Like the first time you attended art school, you were missing that essential part of the puzzle. You were literally missing that, yet you made it work, and then you officially got it. So it was meant to be, man. It was always meant to be.
You know what's crazy? I think back on the pieces that I did in art school that were really good, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that doing those things would make a good piece, but I couldn't explain to you why. And at the bad pieces, I didn't understand. Like, why did this piece not work and this other piece work? And now it's like very clear and obvious that I was missing fundamentals on one and not on the other. So
Gotcha. Wow. So subconsciously, I'm telling you, man, you were at least to me, man, because I know you since we were, I don't know, 5 years old or something. Man, I knew that you were meant to be an artist. And it's so awesome that even though you had to go through all that huge trajectory, you finally made it and you're doing what you should be doing. That's amazing, man. I'm really glad everything worked out for the best. So let's go ahead now and talk to us a little bit about what things have you worked on? Any movies, comic books, anything you can share with us?
the biggest project that I've worked on, which took a lot longer than it should have, is Arya, a cyberpunk mystery. And we just finished the entire thing. It's 170 pages. I actually have the cover that I sent to you for issue 1 and 2. And we turned the whole thing into just one book now. And we're re-lettering it. And that one's actually should be available in July.
Where can we find it if we would like to purchase it?
There's definitely going to be a website that I'm going to build for myself that's going to have a store with it.
There we go. So now, and I will put that on the link below for everybody to know where to get it as well.
Because we're re-lettering it, so it's a new launch of the whole thing. And I think there's even a bit of a rewrite.
Now, out of all these projects that you have worked with, which one are you most happy with?
Arya was the hardest thing, and it made me the angriest and like the most it was so hard. It was incredibly, incredibly hard. But when it was done, it was the best thing I've ever done. And like, even if it's not the best thing I'm ever gonna do, it's like it feels like, wow, this is the hardest project. It took years, honestly. Like I had to learn how to work on it. And at the beginning, I would do a little bit of work, and then I was like, I'm gonna take another project to do a little break from this. At the end of it, I learned so many valuable lessons, like make every page count. Make the best art that you can at every single page. Even if it takes longer, it's better to do a really good piece, a really good part of it, so that you can look back and be like, wow, this was good.
Yeah.
I learned to like not to deviate from what you're doing. Like if the most important thing that you could be doing is working on a comic or doing some other project, that's the thing that you should be doing. Like you shouldn't be like doing other little side projects. You should be focused on finishing the one that you have.
One thing at a time. Very good. Yeah, no, and I agree. I actually live by that slogan, even though it's hard. It's easier said than done. You have to get yourself disciplined enough to be able to complete one project at a time. What was it? 197 pages? Like, that's amazing.
170. It's just resistance, really. It's like you come up with every excuse not to want to do your work sometimes. I didn't realize how difficult such a long project is. I didn't realize the amount of commitment that you really have to put into it. And this project actually had been started by 2 other artists before, and both of them had failed. And he would get frustrated, like the client, because he had these expectations of his project, of people that are working for him, and he's putting money out, and they're not completing, they're not delivering. Probably towards about 2/3 of it, I got really sick of it, and I wanted to work on other art projects. I wanted to do other things. I was also having another, mental health issues again. Probably what contributed the most to it being difficult. Eventually, though, I got everything together.
What things maybe you can share that you think they were helpful to keep you creative while in that process?
One thing that is fun is to look at things that you like, read things that you like. Because when you sort of see a movie that's really cool, or when you see like a comic that is really awesome, that you like the style, that you like the story, the first thing I think as a creative person that comes to your head is, I want to do something like that. it's a constant reminder that you're an artist. You enjoy this. It might be difficult sometimes, but you still enjoy it. And especially you enjoy it when you get to the end. So by inspiring yourself and looking at other people's great work, that's good. And also I think constantly, doing like an hour or 2 hours a day of refining your skills, like gesture drawing, perspective drawing, whatever you're missing that is going to help you a lot. Give some time to yourself to work on it.
Okay, can you share with us maybe some of the artists that you like that maybe inspires you?
I think for comics, Fiona Staples is my favorite artist. She's the artist for Saga, which was written by Brian K. Vaughan. Why the Last Man is also another Brian K. Vaughan book with a different artist. I really like, Kim Jung-gi is an excellent, amazing draftsman. I'm super fan. Like I have one of his sketchbooks, which is like super like expensive, just because I wanted to be able to look at his stuff like all the time. Oh, Jorge Jimenez is another guy for comics that he's like the Superman, Super Sons. His work is just such a masterpiece of flowing lines, a lot of action and energy, and really hard to create stuff. And also he does an amazing job shading and like inking and stuff. So
when you're drawing, you're about to draw, you sit down and draw for pleasure. What are some of your favorite subjects to draw?
Lately I've been doing, I do a lot of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons playing, and I do a lot of art for that, especially when I'm running the game. I'll make like monsters and I'll make dungeons, and I have these maps, and then I post them on the D&D groups, and they get like such a huge reception because like nobody's putting like that much effort into like a map. These isometric maps where like you can see the whole city in 3D.
Nice. No, and one thing I would like to share, I was introduced to D&D by that guy right there. Like I remember way back when I didn't know what it was, and I remember you had all the books, and we will read those and create our characters, and we didn't do it much because we had video games, but it was still very, very fun. And I actually just got into D&D again, and I did remember clearly in my head when we were creating characters off of those descriptions and stuff. So that was okay. So I think part of our last question here, what tips maybe you can give us to help anybody who might be struggling in this path?
The first thing that would have really helped me if I'd heard it at that time is take care of your mental health. If you're feeling bad, or if you're feeling like you're more bad than the normal, talk to people. Even a lot of the universities have like counselors that you can talk to. Taking care of that part is going to make everything else a lot easier if it's something that you struggle with. Other than that, someone that's struggling, it's usually going to be either their skill or their network that is missing. So if you don't have a lot of skill, it's hard to get work because your work isn't at the quality level that you want it to be. And to improve skill, you want to focus on fundamentals, because after that, everything's like, you're just building on top of that. And then your network is really important, because network can bring you a lot of work. It can bring you a lot of clients, a lot of buyers. It can bring you friends. It can bring you people that can mentor you, that can talk to you about different things. A lot of my friends in art school were really shy people, and like they didn't like talking to people. They don't like going to events, and they don't like sort of interacting in like big things. It's a good thing to overcome a little bit if you can, even just every once in a while, because networking, I think, is one of the easiest ways to get work. Re-engaging with your network every once in a while to see how everyone's doing, what projects they might be working on, if they need you for anything. Also use your university's career services. Like I feel like a lot of people don't quite tap into what their art school might already have that can help them get jobs and stuff.
Fantastic. All right, for the very last thing, how would you like to be contacted? Which ones are some of your social media that you currently use?
All right, so I'm William.Montalvo at Instagram, and William Montalvo on ArtStation, and you can contact me there. That's pretty much the easiest way now. I'm building a website that will have other contact information there, but it's a little bit under development right now.
Big cheers. Thank you, William, so much. This has been amazing. Thank you for giving us a little bit of your time and for sharing all the knowledge of your trajectory. Your art is phenomenal. So you guys know where to contact him. You guys know where to follow him. Please do. He's my buddy, and he's doing amazing work. He's going to keep pushing like he always has been doing. So thank you, William, so much.
Thanks, man. It's really good talking to you.